saying, I need some help. They were like looking at me like, oh no, you gotta be crazy. You can't get no help. And so you realize that, there's no one to get help from, because when you even start to try to tell them what it is, they say, oh no, you got that. You can do that. You're good. No, I wasn't good. I really needed to be able, and then I had one of my colleagues say to me one day, she says, you're an abused woman. I was indignant. How dare you say I was abused? Abused? Nobody abused me. But there was no one there. But the Lord had begun to say, God is reconciling, my sister Lori and myself, and so I'm letting God do that, because I really have to conform to the image of Christ. And the enemy's coming, and he really can't have anything in me. And that means that those times that he allows you to be by yourself, those are the times that you go to him and you say, Daddy, I'm by myself, and I'm scared I'm going to be by myself. I'm scared I'm going to be by myself for the rest of my life. The world out there loves Apostle Sapp. Apostle Sapp, when she walks through that door, she's by herself. And so my daughter's in South Carolina. My husband's in North Carolina. My sister's in North Carolina. Ames cross town. Roxanne is cross town. These are people who were intimate in my life. My mom's gone. Sister Stevenson's gone. Susan is in Maryland. Thank God, Apostle's over here in Fulton. But these are the people. Carolyn's in the Bronx. And so these are the people that I'm able to be transparent with, and it doesn't scare them. Because when a child sees their parent not on point, it frightens them. And so when people see the stalwart, that person that they've been able to go to, begin to say, hey, I'm human. I go to the bathroom. But I need to fulfill the commandments. And the commandments are, love God with all your heart and love your neighbor as yourself. What is the catch there with that self-love? If I'm not loving me, I cannot love you. And see, we hide behind how we love ourselves. We got clothes and cars and jewelry and all of that stuff. But loving oneself, I had to learn how to do that, because I was going to take care of everybody and make sure everybody got what they needed, what was going to put a smile on their face. And that was a grace on my life. It was perverted, because I was out of balance. God had to break me, because I didn't expect anybody to do anything for me, because God would allow me to do everything. And then he let me be broken. I had to give up my apartment and had to lose stuff in storage, and didn't know where, had a job, but still didn't know where I was gonna go, because now I'm without this stuff. And what are people gonna say? I don't really care. And so I was ready to just go and do whatever I needed to do to be where, Erica was in private school, and she had already been jerked around from Charlotte back to North Carolina, back to New York, and her dad and all of that stuff was going on, but I needed help, but there was no help. There was no, there was no getting the help that I needed, until my colleagues said to me that day, you're abused. I had lived with a man that I loved dearly. We were childhood sweethearts and all of that stuff. But he was abusive. He was an alcoholic. and there's nothing more dangerous than an intellectual, intelligent person who now becomes this psychological abuser and verbal abuser. And so that when you get to that place and you begin to say, well, God, people already were saying, well, she can't do anything. She's like divorced or separated, but thank God for Prophet Ash. He came and he said, you better use that woman. That's what God sent for such a time as this. She got lots of stuff and you better use all of it. And so, I began to teach on healing for damaged emotions because I needed to know what was wrong and I didn't like the way I was feeling. I knew I wasn't going to start drinking. I knew I definitely wasn't going to start doing no drugs. And I definitely wasn't going to start sleeping around with people, so I could eat. And that's what I did, I ate. People don't understand, that's gluttony is serious. Gluttony is real serious. And it's safe. Because I could do it in my house, and I had enough money to go buy whatever I wanted and eat one day and then throw the rest of it away. God forgive me. But that's what I would do. Or I would cook, I would cook from soup to nuts. And it would just be me, and I would just eat the meal, and that would be it. And so that what happened, and then, when I lost the apartment, and I was like, gonna move, and Em says, no, you got me, because she had just got saved and left the Bronx and came to Brooklyn. She got an apartment right around the corner from where my apartment was. So now I was talking about, now I gotta move, because I gotta get someplace, And so God was really good, because it took that season of me being helpless to allow someone to help me. Because I was not going to have nobody help me. Nobody helped me. Even last summer, I got another level of deliverance from that. I had to learn to say, it's like I walked in here one day and they had a surprise something for me. And I couldn't get myself together. Because I didn't know how to receive from people. I really didn't know how to receive from people. I was used to taking care of people and giving to people and not caring for myself. And then I made a statement one time because I had a really close friend and she wouldn't allow you to do anything for her. And you gotta get you with your own stuff. I so self-righteously said, I don't trust anybody who won't allow you to do anything for them. And I said that, I was like so self-righteous. I mean, come on, Alice, you needed this and I just got it. Well, I don't want you to get it. It's like, okay. God had to turn that back. I had to hear myself say that. So you don't trust nobody who won't let people give them things and do things for them. If you give somebody something before you can even get out the door and they say they've given you something right back. The Bible says, what is that? If I invite you to dinner because you're going to invite me to your house for dinner, that's not giving. It's not even loving. So when I began to understand, being vulnerable, being transparent, allowing myself to walk in my humanity, to say I need this. Allowing people, because really, I didn't allow people to do stuff for me. And so when it got to the point where I had to receive it, it was very humbling. It was very, very humbling. And God let someone help me who loved me, who didn't lord it over me, who would say, I'm doing this for you. I had people in my family had money, but it wasn't worth it to get anything from them because they would beat you up so bad and make you feel like a failure. And it would be like, and I thank God for my time in metaphysics, because metaphysics gave me a level of peace that I did not get at that time in the Christian faith. It said, you're always doing the best you can do. And when you can do better, you will do it. And so living like that, I knew that I would be able to do better at some point. But at this point, I could not receive stuff from people, and God, and my sisters, were bakers and, doing whatever, my mom, my brothers, but to go to them, they wanted to now control because they had serious Jezebel issues. And I was not going to be controlled. I was rebellious like that. It's like, no, you cannot control me. You tell me don't, make me won't all over. So he's like, okay, I wasn't a bad child. I was going to always try to be obedient. But if you told me don't, smiling and everything, just like, oh. But that was who I was. I thank God for His grace, His mercy, and I thank God because, Em stepped in and said, help, and she's like, you can't bring me over here to Brooklyn. Now you're gonna move? That's crazy. You're not moving over here. Plus, Erica gotta finish school. She only got 2 more years, and so, my sister stepped in, and she was probably the only person that God I would allow to do anything for me. And then when she would do some things, I would just be like, no, no, no. And then she wouldn't let me do nothing. So we were like fighting, like, no, I'm not taking no rent from you, because she's paranoid. Why? Because she don't want you to say like, well, I live here, I paid this, and now you think you own this. No, you gonna live here at my largesse, at my grace, because I'm gonna be in charge here. And so that was good, because it gave me a season of learning how to receive from people, and that was difficult. I'm telling you, it was July of 2014 in Springfield, Illinois, when that demon rose up again, and I was confronted, and I literally just broke down and cried and boo-hooed. I was so undone. I think maybe I called Apostle, and I was like, I don't know what's happening. Why? All they only asked me a question, what would I like to have for dinner or for lunch, or where would I like to go? And I came unglued. I was undone. And God had me with, a loving family. They love me, Apostle. They were also going through some stuff because, God had allowed us to get into a place of real deliverance. We had gone through clearing the land. We had gone through loose thyself. And God, when He called and He said, I said, I don't know what I want to eat. And then I was so stuck. I was like going to say, well, you know what, I don't have to eat. Because I'm good at that. I could go all day. I go 2 days and not eat. I'm good. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to tell her, don't worry about me. I'm just going to fast. And the Holy Ghost would not let me say that to them. I had to tell them, I don't know. I just don't, whatever you get, whatever you choose, I'll just eat it, whatever. And so by the time they came to the hotel, I had kind of got to talk to Apostle, and she said, you've given out so much. But I was stuck, and I had to say, in the deliverance, I am a gracious receiver. So when people, there are times that, the house wants to give me stuff, and I'm like, okay, help me, Holy Ghost. Help me to receive it. Help me to receive it. Because you have to, because it's pride. It's stinking, nasty pride that doesn't allow you to receive. So if Christ could tell a woman, pour out her years living on His feet, then I can receive whatever anyone chooses to give me, and receive it and just be grateful. Wasn't that I wasn't grateful, it was I didn't know how to receive. I really didn't. I didn't think that I was worth anybody wanting to give me anything. It was unworthiness that I really was dealing with. That I was not worthy for anybody to really, so it was okay to take people's kind of rejection because it just fit into my own philosophy until God started saying some stuff Like, you are fearful, you are wonderful, you're this. And then I'm like struggling with that, like, what are you talking about? Everybody wants to come against me. You know, I'm black, I'm woman, I'm fat. Everybody wants to, I'm everybody's target, God. And so then I would get up over that, because then I would go to speaking and pontificating and loosing words like equivocate and vacillate and begin to use my intellect to beat you up. Because now you thought I was nothing, but I got some stuff. And I can, but you know what was interesting? I couldn't do that with the scripture. But academically, I could get you. I could begin to talk biologically, sociologically. I could talk mathematically and run you in circles. But thank God for deliverance. I thank God for deliverance. Because, you can't get nothing from God unless you're humble. And so I didn't want to walk in false humility. Not that I didn't sometimes. But I thank God for deliverance. I thank God for shedding the light on these things that you can see and you say, when people begin to say, you got an apostolic grace, I'm like, no, I'm an evangelist. I just like being an evangelist. Just let me do some teaching. I don't want to do that. I don't even know what that stuff is that you're talking about. But I just want to do this. And so God was so, the reason we've had such a hard time getting through this one chapter, because it's the character of God. It's like when God is looking down at us, he's looking at the Christ. He's looking at his son.
I'm going to just give you another question. Has anyone else ever just really felt they were not worthy to be loved? Let me tell you how I had to get through it. See, what kept me so long? Because I was in the modeling world. I was raised with mucho money. I had the dress code, so it kept me thinking in that place of pride that I was all right. But whenever you could be bitter and venomous to people, you ain't all right. There's something about oneself that stays venomous, because venomous keeps people away and kills them. So something. And so it took me a long time to do that, because I had this delusion of the money. I had this delusion because I was small, because I could be the life of the party, but I stayed the life of the party. I never let the party go down, because then I had to come back to me. And I had to really, and then there was something about me, I was afraid to let people in, because there was a hidden agenda. Have you ever been afraid to let people in because you figure it's a hidden agenda?
Yes.
Something that they're hiding, there's something that they want from me. That's because we have a problem sometimes thinking maybe it's just that they really just want to love us because of the trauma. It's called trauma we've gone through. That spirit of trauma is something that shook us, that traumatized us. And I had trauma because of the rejection, of so much rejection. And then there's something about me, what are they going to do? And it was really hard for me to see that I didn't think. Because that's a hard thing to see through, that you don't think you really worth something. That's really hard to see. And it takes a lot of humility to be able to break that down and say, yeah. Because it means you got to go through all of this stuff. We build up these wonderful masks. Trish, is there anything sometimes that makes you angry? Sometimes you just want to make you angry. Things that might happen to make you angry sometimes.
Anything curses at me.
Yeah. It used to make me angry sometime in school. I used to have this one girl that used to pick on me all the time. She used to pull my hair. Always pick on us because we went to church. Yeah, those people that went to church. And I had some friends that people used to pick on them, and I would stand up for them because maybe they didn't have the money or wasn't able to dress like everybody else dressed. And that's how I would have anger issues. Anger issues. So many anger issues. And I was thinking sometimes, I love my daddy, but I was angry with my daddy sometimes. And then I had to even go back more and say if there was a problem, is even anger. As much as I love my grandmother too, because she left the church people. Didn't mean I didn't love them. I really did love them, but I was just angry with something. That's why I wanted to ask you sometimes, because sometimes, even as little people, you know, things that can make us angry. Doesn't mean we don't love. It just means it bothers us. And it does make us angry, and sometimes we may not want to be as angry as we do. So that's why because you were so important. Because in the church world, sometimes I would be with all the adults, and I would be just sitting around. And always remember, being angry doesn't mean we don't love. I love my father. And I'll just give you my story. I love my father, but I was so angry because he didn't give me a lot of time. I wanted more time with him. I saw him give other people time, other people in church, other kids in church time. And he didn't give me that much time. All the time that I really felt that I wanted. So I just wanted to ask you. And it's okay. Angry just means we feel like something is being done wrong to us. It's now how do we handle our anger. I could just handle my anger, breaking up stuff all the time, breaking up albums. That's when they used to have the albums. You know, the album, the plastic album. I take it right, just snap them, just snap them or throw it against, take something, throw it against the wall. You know, or just and literally I would just break them. I remember just sitting there breaking them because I was so angry. When I was so young, I just didn't know how to handle it, and because people around just didn't. They didn't, and then people around me didn't know I was angry. A lot of people were shocked when they felt that. My goodness, but you always look like you had it okay. Couldn't know, and I would be sitting there saying, "Can't somebody see I'm sick?"
And that's the saddest thing, is that you're hurting and people are not. You're sitting this close, full of the Holy Ghost, and you ain't discerning that hurt that person is going through. It's like, Dennis, I didn't mean to cut you off, Apostle.
And just the church world, sometimes it's most, because we don't get to sit down and talk about the church without going after people to hurt. We're just talking about our feelings instead of it becoming a fight. Because I've been to some meetings, I'm telling you, my grandma told me they go in the back room with chairs and everything. I've been to some, and I've been a part of some. But I was just not yelling, I was just deadly. Coming over here to the shock waters. You're a guppy, you ain't even a full-grown guppy. But when you had it, when they didn't break fighting, it did, where at the end of the meeting nothing came out. But in a place like this, you could talk about, they hurt me. I'm so angry with them. You know, I didn't do anything but just operate in my gift, and they would say you're a witch, you're always trying to control things, you're always in everything, you can't stay out of stuff, everybody's busy. You want people to follow you, that's why you're not doing stuff. And sometimes you're not doing stuff because the Holy Ghost saying, that's real dumb. I know you got 20 people going with you, but that's dumb. You know, I'm this person's secretary, and I can say dumb. And all y'all sitting in this meeting agreeing with my father? No! And I was the person, look, you're just the I wasn't. It's just that I just didn't understand things. I needed help.
But
And then
I cut you off, but when I first met you, Apostle, you showed me love. When I first met you, you showed me love.
Because you were good sense. You wasn't
I
church people.
removed. Say that again.
You had good sense. Because you wasn't, see the church people, my attitude when they walked in, their brains was put on the report right. So you were good.
When
The world people were good.
I had moved a couple of blocks down. I had just graduated from the drug program. I moved out my first apartment down the block. And I was running low on food, and it was like, I think I had like 4 or 5 days before I got some money to put food in my house. So I asked somebody in the neighborhood, is there any place to go with a church or anything where you could get pantry from? And they said the pantry's open down the block, but you gotta hurry, it might be closed. So I remember running over here, and I remember getting here, and the door was open, but the food program was closed. And Apostle was like, well, listen, I'm gonna have this program in here. Now this is still one of my biggest issues about being transparent, is that I'm still dealing with this, is that I don't like telling everybody a little personal part of my life, because people still have a negative thought about it. People still look at you. People don't know how to deal with you. But I'm getting better with it, and I don't mind telling people because I'm blessed because of it. I've been HIV positive for over 28 years, 26 years, no medication.
Hallelujah!
So I thank God. But some people, you know, I still have issues with that because people don't know. They're still ignorant to the fact about it. But when I met Apostle and she gave me a paper and she was having an HIV program, and I started to walk and I stopped. And I went back, I said, okay, she's gonna have a program about HIV. She don't know I used to be an HIV case manager, so let me go in here and talk to her. And that's how our relationship began. And she told me that night, she said, come back, we're having church service, and I'll see what I can do for you. I went home with 2 shopping bags of food, and I kept coming back here, and that's how I met her mother, her father, and I became family, and we've been here ever since, and I thank God for that. I thank God for that. You know, but you've never really seen that person to seem like, you know, that you can't trust. You're not a trustworthy person. You are from day one when I first met you. Because I didn't have to tell you my business. You understand? You didn't have to do what you did. You just told me, here, take the paper, come on back, and I'll see what I can do for you.
You know what I realized? That many people in the church world really don't know love. They really don't. They really don't. They came in and we have accepted Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior. So the Adamic nature, penalty of the Adamic nature has been forgiven. So now it's the conforming to the image of Christ. And some of us, love was just who we were born with. People were born just giving and loving. And people can't, it's hard for people to accept love. They identify love as you trying to get people to follow you. And I was to tell people I'm trying to follow Jesus. I got my own craziness. Why would I want to, there's a whole group of people behind me I got to sit down and talk to? I'm an introvert when I go in the house. I'm an introvert. Go in my room. I'm cool. I'm an introvert. You know, I've always been like, no. Okay, God, they're all around me, Jesus. But it's just love. And so the church, many of us, do not know love because of the trauma of where we come from. Then we got into relationships ungodly and that gave more stuff. So now we wanted to protect ourselves, which is a God-given instinct to protect. But without God, it becomes perverted. Until you can get a place like this, where they used to want to shut me down, you always telling your business. I'm happy! Do you know what it is to be happy? I was been on my own in Bible school in a lesbian relationship. I'm happy! Okay? I've been preaching the word, going to hell. Okay? Please, are y'all crazy? I'm so glad to get off that crack smokes. Scotty, that shit. Scotty had me in a place that beat me that nobody could find. When God got a hold of me, and planted Scotty, and I stepped over Scotty, and went to pray and get to her, somebody say, shut up. I said, I took my worst hit. I'm going to tell you, I'm so glad that when I was raped, I was not killed. I'm so glad that when I was in that lesbian, and I was bisexual because I kept men around so nobody could know, but because I didn't understand how to work with the world was saying, keep men out your life, keep men out your life, so you want to try to keep that, but then I'm always hanging out in the wrong places in the village. Come on. Got into working with corrections. Curiosity can kill a cat. And so because the world, and then nobody ain't have enough to, my mother kept saying, I kept telling you Tommy is who was going in that girl's apartment. I kept creeping out that door, and you wouldn't listen to me. So I'm so grateful. And I want to be transparent because I want everybody to know that guess what? This is a house, whosoever will come church of Jesus Christ, that this is our first Sunday morning service. It's sitting around in deliverance. Amen. Every one of us that, listen, when you talk, there is a deliverance coming out. Because you putting out there on the table what I was, what I don't want to be. And so if the message was, it was going to be one of Thanksgiving, and I kept hearing, I'm thankful, I'm thankful, I'm thankful.
Thankful.
I'm thankful.
You have to be thankful because when
Hallelujah.
you say the church people don't know how to love, it's because people haven't loved on them. And they don't understand when Jesus said, I'm only going to give you 2 commandments. Love God and love your neighbor. And you can't love your neighbor if you don't love yourself. And we've seen wickedness, meanness, cursing, all manner of stuff. You know, and you have to begin to say, it's because they have not, when I began to say they have not had an encounter with the living God, with the loving God.
Hallelujah.
God, let me be that right and proper instrument to love them to life, to give them the love, the agape love, non-judgmental love, love that just loves. Not because I don't think that I'm nothing, because a lot of people will say, oh, well, you know, she just, my older sister, she's like, she can just be with anybody and everybody.
That's what they say.
Well, what was I supposed to do?
She's just everybody's friend.
You know, just like anybody, you know. I mean, what was I supposed to do? I mean, look, I was an 18-month-old baby. We were one of the first families in Marcy housing. So they were still building Marcy. But my mama would put me out there, and I would take my little self straight to Nostrand Avenue. And thank God that the men who were building the building weren't perverted, because they could have taken that little 18-month-old and done anything with her. And they would just let me sit there and watch them build. And, you know, by the time they say, okay, you know, mother's gonna, somebody gotta be finding this baby. And my mother would come, and I'd look and see my mother, and I'd scream. They say, okay, that's the mother. And my mother would say, why is this? Said, and I mean, I'm telling you, like clockwork, my mother put me out in the yard with my sister, my brother, my sister, and tell me don't go nowhere. And somehow, these little feet would walk me right down on Marcy to Nostrand Avenue, down there. And as a teenager, I went and hung out on Nostrand Avenue, because that's where, but God. So I just loved people. I can't tell nobody I'm an introvert, because that would really not be the truth. I mean, I have always gravitated towards people. I'm looking to say hello to people. I'm looking to see God as that person, the person that you want me to tell them something. I don't let people pass me without saying good morning, because they are created in the image and likeness of God, and that might be the life-giving word that they hear.
Well, I may say I learned to be an introvert. Being in the spotlight in my entire life. It was terrible. In the spotlight in church every single day from birth on. The pastor's grandchildren is the worst children in the church. The pastor's children is the worst children. So, yeah.
PK kid.
I'm telling you. Have y'all ever heard that? Pastor's kid? Y'all might as well tell the truth, because I know if anybody been to church, y'all learning. You ain't never heard of it. You ain't been in no Pentecostal church.
Yep, PK kid. That's a
And it's said a PK kid is the worst kid, a pastor's kid. And so that taught me to be an introvert, to stay away from them. But in the world, the party was on.
It is.
But I'm telling you, you just be walking to church. Dad,
And but you know, you said something real Pentecostal church.
You had to be a certain way. If you didn't carry your way a certain way, yo, that's the PK kid. But the pastor's
Oh yeah, good. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're talking about Pentecostal, well, preacher's kid, I was one. But I was a rebellious one. I mean, if you say, well, you know, do this, I'm like, why are you asking me? All the other kids over there, why ask me? But, you know, they looked at me as to, well, you the preacher's kid, so you need to do, you're supposed to do that. No, I'm supposed to be a child. I'm supposed to be 10 years old. I'm supposed to be 15. I'm not supposed to be doing it. I was like in a good rebellious person. I wasn't a bad one. I was no. I was, you know, coming up like in the Pentecostal church, they didn't want you to wear earrings. They didn't want you to wear blouses all buttoned up to your neck and all that stuff. And, you know, I picked up some good points there while I was coming up, but I was always observant. I would watch. Okay, you like this now when you're on the pulpit, but behind doors, you another way. And I wasn't able, because I was too young to to say anything, and if I said something, then I hurt somebody's feeling or it was something like that, I was rebellious. Because I saw the truth and I spoke the truth. You know, when the child speaks, the child speaks the truth. So they didn't like to, it got to a point where they didn't want me to say nothing. Don't you say nothing. Just sit over there, don't say nothing. But I always made my way up to a place where, I'm just watching, okay? Now you can't do it because I'm sitting there watching, I know better. So that was, in other words, I had control to a certain extent, because I know how you are. I know what you did. I know because I would hear little stories and stuff, and call and pray for me because I did so and so and so. And I said, even though, I always told, I know I had told the apostle at one time when I was sitting on the porch with my grandmother and her friend, and they just talking and talking and talking. I'm playing with my doll. Mama Dolly over there, Grandma over here, and they just did, and I got into that conflict. But yeah, so and so. Next thing I know, I was up on there, rolled up under the house, and because I was small enough, I crawled up between the steps, and got back up there and sat down, and they were still talking. I didn't say a word, no more. You understand? Because I had got into conversation, grown folks conversation. And that taught me a lesson. So I just sat there, and I heard. See, you get careful what you say around your kids.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Because sometimes they'll come up that way. You know what I mean? It's okay to do this because I heard.
Gossip.
And you just got to be careful what you say around kids. But thank God, because we're talking about Thanksgiving, I thank God that I come up that way. So now, I know what truly Thanksgiving is.
Hallelujah.
Okay? Because he brought me a long way. I thank God for the old mothers, like Mother Urquhart, who was one way and didn't. But anyway, I thank God for I was able to watch, be observant. And I remember what Apostle, what's his name? Hill said. Sometimes God places you in a place to learn what not to do.
Come on.
Okay, and I used to wonder, well, why this and why that, what happened, and so forth. But I can go all the way back to my grandmother. I can go back to the stories of how my grandmother, a praying woman, that going through, she had X amount of kids and they didn't have food in the house and so forth, and all of a sudden God sent this man down the street and asked for this special woman, okay? And she just get in the car and when she come back a few hours later, she got groceries. I'm thankful for that because I heard that. So when it came to a point where me having 5 kids, and it came to a place where I didn't have, okay? My baby didn't have maybe about 3 or 4 Pampers left. Husband, he ain't, because he had drunk. He there with a hangover, But then thank God that Reverend Lane called me that Sunday morning, asked, said, Carol, are you able to come and help us out? And I was like, well, yeah. Went there, make a long story short, by the time I came home, I had over $300 in my pocket.
Hallelujah.
Okay? Because I think when I look back over my life, I can't do nothing but thank God for where he brought me from. Okay? I wasn't always in the church. I was out there too, hanging. I was hanging. I wasn't happy hanging, but I was out there. Why? Looking for love in all the wrong places. Because you didn't receive the love that you expect to receive from your parents because they were doing other things in the church. So now, I said, okay. I met this one. I thought I loved. Found out that ain't love. Okay? They want to hook me up with some minister in the church. And I knew right then and there, no, you ain't. I can pick my own I don't need you to pick my man, I can do it myself. But we was teenagers, you know, and they think they can pair us up because I sing and he preach. Oh, no, that don't work. You trying to, you know, now you got your singer and you can play the keyboard a little bit, you got it made. No. But when I look back and I thank God because where I am now. I'm thankful, and I looked up and I saw thanksgiving for God's goodness. I was reading the sign. But see, there were things in the Word that God said, and I began to believe it, and that right there settled it.
Hallelujah.
He said it, I believe it, and it settled because I found out myself, God said.
Yes.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
And I believe what he said.
Yes.
Amen.
And that's all.
Yes.
That's settled.
Hallelujah.
Because he said it. And I believe it.
Yes.
And that's it. And I'm thankful for coming, because I couldn't, it was a time when I couldn't say that.
Mhm.
Well, God said this, God said that, da-da-da-da-da. Because I was in my own little world.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, he took me down here, and I was homeless, but I never had a roof. I never was in a place that I didn't have a roof over my head, but I didn't have my own place. God kept me that way. I wasn't out in the street, okay?
My God.
Even though I lost my apartment, I listened to Apostle, furniture, things in the storage, okay? Got rid of that. I mean, they sold it or whatever, but guess what? I got so much in my house now, I don't know what to do with it.
Amen.
Okay? Down through the years, God has blessed me, even though he took away things, and I said, and he took away certain things that I didn't need to bring in, you understand, old baggage.
Right.
Left all of that old baggage in the storage.
Gotta let it go.
Pictures of old boyfriends and stuff like that. Oh yeah,
Gotta get rid of all that stuff.
I got rid of that, because he would say I would do a new thing. Okay? And he began to do a new thing in my life. When I let go of that stuff, because I was so hurt. I was going to write the storage company. I was going to do this. I was going to do that. I was going to go there. I was going to break the window. Talk about breaking. I was going to do it because that's my stuff. But I remember. And I began to think about what was in there. Because certain things in there was replaceable. But there were a lot of things that I needed to get rid of. And knowing if I would have been able to get those things out of storage, I would still have them. I'd have been hanging on to them. But baggage, this year, if anything, everybody needs to get rid of that old baggage. Leave that old stuff behind. And I thank God for right now. For this moment, I could have been someplace else.
That's right.
But you know what, when I was getting, I said, well, you know what? Lord, I want you to direct me where you want me to go today.
Amen.
I don't want to hear all of this here, hooping and hollering, spitting and crying. I don't want to hear a whole lot of, you know what I mean? I'm tired of that old tradition right now. You know, I don't come up with tradition.
Yeah.
Especially in the Church of God in Christ.
Oh.
Big hats and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when you look and you see all this praise dance and that, Jesus, I'm like, I can't do this and dance and shouting to the music. All you're doing is shouting. You're not giving God the glory. You shouting to that music. Come on, I done did it myself.
Entertainment.
Are you kidding